Okay, so on to the last session of day one. This session is going to be tech that understands your agents. And what this is technology partners that come in, use the data, analyze the MLS data, and are able to provide smart solutions. So with that being said, if we could please give a round of applause for Denee and the panelists for this session. Let me just pull it up quickly.
Hello. Bonjour. I've got 2 words down. Bonjour, merci. Love it. My name's Denee Evans. I'm the CEO of the Council of Multiple Listing Services, and we are the trade organization in North America for MLSs. We do all things MLS. I have several MLS members in the room, 2 on stage with me. And so today we're going to talk about, I had written down this session is focused on tools that power the association or MLS and give their staff strategic insights into their members for building a better user experience, ultimately better consumer experience. So with that, if we could have each of you introduce yourselves and a little bit of what your company does.
I'll start. My name is John DiMichele. I'm the CEO of the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board in Canada. We have about 76,000 members. I'm also the president and CEO of PropTex Innovations, Inc., which is our taxable entity that we also provide our MLS and all technology services through that. And PropTex is a wholly owned subsidiary of TRREB.
Hello. Hear me?
No. Should be on, I think.
All right. May I borrow you?
Yes.
Well, that's not nice to give it to you, but...
It works, right? You guys can hear me?
Good afternoon. I'm Fayyad Sbaihat. I am the president of Supra. Supra is the real estate technology company providing electronic access to real estate agents, predominantly in North America, but also in a few countries outside as well. We provide electronic access as well as the scheduling, appointment scheduling, and other capabilities around the showing management. Our services are currently utilized by about 1.2 million agents. And you know, again, maybe to brag on Supra a little bit, it's one of the early companies that really helped facilitate the cooperation wave that the MLSs started and helped create an environment where agents from within an association or outside association can find ways to actually collaborate by giving the trusted members access through technology.
Hi, everybody. It's really good to be here. My name is Raza Khan, and to sum it up, I'm an entrepreneur. I've been in the organized real estate industry my entire professional life, which is 17 years. Kind of went through all the different layers, started off as a real estate agent and faced a big problem, not able to find effective marketing tools. And then I founded a company called Web for Realty 15 years ago, where we helped over 15,000 real estate agents throughout North America, throughout 100 different associations. We were actually the largest provider in Toronto Real Estate Board, helping them with all their different marketing tools. 2 years ago, my company was acquired, and since then, I founded AgentBook. We are an exclusive real estate association management platform, and our mission is simple, but it's profound. We want to preserve organized real estate, but then empower it to really innovate for what is needed in order for it to survive for the future.
Great, thank you. It's a breath of fresh air in here. Literally, there's fans. It feels so good. And we're going to close out the day. So no one is going to get penalized if we end early. But I think you guys have some great stuff to share. So let's dig in. John, I'm going to give you the first question here is, how is using data and technology helping your association, MLS, better understand your members, ultimately leading to a better user experience and then to the consumer?
So I could probably talk about an hour on that question alone.
We don't
but
have that long.
I get it, yeah. So I came into the industry as a realtor myself, and then I became a broker, and then I was on the board of directors of TRREB, and CIO, now CEO. So I've got, you know what I tell people is you really can't pull the wool over my eyes because I've seen it from so many different angles. Having access to the data, first thing I did walking through the door was create a data warehouse. I just took a snapshot of the entire MLS system, put it aside, and I said, okay, now I want someone to go in there and find out all this information. Because you'd hear things from members, you're not sure who they were. Now when they call up, I have a pretty good idea if they actually trade, and if they actually are talking from a position of knowledge, or are they just yelling at me because they need to yell at someone. So I spend a lot of time understanding them when I pick up. I want to know who they are. I want to know what context I'm speaking to them in. And then I got to tell you, they come up with some pretty good ideas. If you give them the opportunity, they will come up with ideas. So that's the first prong for me. The second thing is really being able to see things like market patterns, activity of the agents as a whole. Not just are they selling real estate, but where, how, which price points. How can I speak better to them if I know where they're really spending their time and working? So I get to cut up that data and really even messaging. We decide what are we going to say this week and how are we going to say it and who are we targeting. So you can do segment marketing from that data. You can actually identify places where you can concentrate. But more than that, we want to know, is our marketing working? And we have 14 points of contact with our members. And our email open rate is extraordinary. We get between 60 and 65% open rates on our emails. That, to me, is probably one of the most important data points that we can use when we're communicating. So without the data that we can slice and dice and look at, we would never know these things, and we wouldn't know how to communicate. So it's really important for us to know that, just opening the door.
Raza, this one's for you. What specific data is your what can be tracked on the agents? How are you using that, and what are you looking to provide as the value back to the MLS?
Absolutely. So association management system is literally the foundation and the core for organized real estate. So, I mean, all types of data coming from the MLS. MLS is about the property, whereas the AMS is about the agents, about the members. So we pull data from the AMS to give the association insights to, you know, what their agents are doing, who's leading. So from that knowledge, they can actually curate targeted courses for their members. Also, educational courses. Even we have, obviously, in different regions, we have government entities that are responsible for licensing. So we bring all that data in. So literally anything you could think of that is essential for an organized real estate association industry, we bring that data in to a central place and then let them utilize it for whatever they need.
Great. And what about you, Fayyad?
So for us, we focus on providing the service, and then the data that really emerges out of the service becomes an opportunity in and of itself. So when it comes to building our services, Supra and Broker Bay, which is our scheduling service, really focuses on maybe three areas. One, for to enable the success of real estate agents. One is facilitating cooperation, facilitating trust between cooperating agents, and then ensuring consumer experience. And whether that's through the access, the seamless and easy trusted access experience, and then collecting the data around it of who's accessing the listing and when, or the scheduling of appointments. So we have information on who's scheduling the appointment to see the listing and whether they actually arrive to see it or not. So there is a real confirmation through the access service. And of course, with the listing information itself, becomes a rich environment of consumer behavior and consumer preference. And additionally, to really understand the insights, we recently introduced a product called Showing Insights, utilizing this data to really give agents and brokers visibility into how those appointments are playing out. Timing, duration, when, why, how. Brokers and agents who are using the service now can really create or see correlation between several metrics around the listing, whether it's listing price versus time on the market, or listing price versus number of showings to get to a sell, and so on. So quite a few actionable insights that they can build on to make more intelligent decisions on the next listing.
Great. John, I'll bring this one back to you. What are the benefits to the agent, to your members, by you having this data and evaluating it?
Well, none. No, I'm just kidding. Obviously, it allows us to create tools for them too. So one of the things that, I mean, all MLSs, and we hear it all the time about ethical behavior, and we've got a professional standards department, so we also track that and arbitration. So one of the things that we've, I went to my staff and said, look, I have this idea, and if you know me at all, that's all I really do. They do the work. I just come up with ideas, and then they tell me if it works. So this was pathways to professionalism. And the concept of pathways to professionalism was, imagine you can do pretty much anything and call it pathways to professionalism. And it was really designed to get people to think ethically. So one of the pieces to pathways is property intelligence. So we have member intelligence, and now we wanted to give them property intelligence. So now we're creating plethora of property intelligence products for them to use, and we're using third parties too. Data that we wouldn't otherwise have ourselves, we're bringing it in. And there's a difference between democratization versus dilution. We don't, certain policies, we have to put it out there, that creates data dilution. What we're looking at right now is using that and democratizing other people's data in order to put it in their hands so that they've got a much richer database to work with and create their reports for realtors. And for we create better reports, they can create their better reports. For the end user, at the end of the day, is the consumer who they are serving. So we look beyond, say, here's what you can do, now we're going to help you do that.
Great. Raza, I asked John, what is the benefit to the agent? I think a lot of your work is bringing benefit to the association. So what are some of the things you're finding, or what's your goal to bring them as benefits?
So first of all, I just want to share on a personal level that I'm from Toronto, and we have obviously MLS systems and associations, and I've been in it for 12, 13 years. And a few years ago, I came to Portugal and immediately fell in love with this place. And I was like, okay, you know what? I see this property for sale, so I'm going to go find out. And I went to a real estate office, and I said, I see this property. Can you give me details? And they're like, we can't. That's not our listing. And I was like, okay, well, just get me in the MLS and send me the details. And like, we don't have that here. And that's when actually two things happened. First thing is I realized that, this thing is not by nature. It's actually a design of literally hundreds of years of evolution and innovation by the people in North America. And a real estate association is not a separate entity. It is literally the collective force of the members. So as an association, you have to think member first. And so our platform is reverse engineered from the member's perspective. Our goal is to help all the members eliminate friction between each other so they could communicate better internally. Because, if you look at an organized real estate industry, I'm going to give a metaphor. It's like a body, right? Where the MLS is the mind, the heart are the agents, because they're the ones that kind of give the soul to the whole body. The legs are the associations, because why legs? Because legs are the foundation where everything else is built on top of. And also legs decide which direction to go in and how fast to go in it. And so for us, everything we do is about the member first. Like, our tools are not just to manage the administrative or the operation. It's about allowing them to communicate with each other, managing the board of directors, elections, surveys, having a member portal, having a resource hub where it's frictionless for them to communicate, collaborate, so they can move forward efficiently in the right direction. So everything we do is the member, because the members are the association.
I like that, member first. I think you talked about creating efficiencies, so I'll take that to you, Fayyad. how does the technology adoption by agents really help drive market efficiencies and increase the network effects by them adopting and using the data, the technology?
Absolutely. I think there are two questions in that, and I hope to remember both of them, so I might come back to have you remind me. The efficiency that comes from the technology is really around the solutions that are being adopted are really making agents' life easier, simpler, more productive, and really allowing them to maintain professionalism in practice and in appearance in front of their agents, but also have a better way of conducting all their tasks, from the showing to the listing of the house, to facilitating the offer process and so on, the transaction process. They're becoming more productive. You asked earlier about the data insights that comes with that we're able to see more insights into how productive and efficient they are, and that allows the brokerage and the management of the brokerage firms to really tweak their process and improve their efficiency and productivity. The second part of the question is around the network effect, and I think that's a big part of it, and that's something we take pride in being successful at. In a lot of the technology vendors, but in Supra especially, that anywhere our solution is deployed in a given MLS or association, you have more than 90 to 95% of members utilizing the same solutions. So not only do you have standardization and effective process across the entire association, you're creating kind of a standard for the association or the MLS that can be communicated to all of their members, existing and new, but also a standard that they can set for buyers and sellers that will be transacting through that set of members to expect and get used to. But more importantly is that it makes the association, the MLS, stronger in its relevance to the agents. This technology and its adoption makes it, the value proposition a lot stronger, and makes that network effect of people needing to belong to an association that facilitates such technology.
I think we've heard a lot today about increasing the professionalism. I know that exists in the US and everywhere. So I think using tools to help increase makes sense. And since we're talking about data standards, I'd love to hear each of you share how do you think standards have helped either your companies or your organizations better serve your agents, and I think just ultimately it is to the consumer, because the information they have is consistent and timely and accurate. So what's your thoughts on data standards?
Thank God. Every time you bring in another service and you don't have standards, everybody has to do extra work, costs more money, wastes more time. Now, you basically, for instance, moving membership data around or using the RESO API, it's really simple. Everybody can do it. You're up and running much quicker, and you actually have data at your fingertips if you really want it, using standards. And I think for vendors, it's the same answer, I suppose, but I'll let him talk.
Okay, so I wanted to pass on to him because in access, it's still, RESO standards still have not really set yet. So we're having to kind of be on our own and set the standard, and hopefully it'll work for RESO when the time comes. But in terms of technology in general, I think, the standardization of data is really a subset of technology that allows cooperation in a consistent way across the board. And we have been partnering with our customers to facilitate this environment, because we think it's beneficial for us, but it's also beneficial for our users across the board. Having common standards that users and customers can apply in multiple areas and multiple geographies is critical. we spoke about cooperation. Jeremy Crawford and the FMLS team recently, partnered with us to really expand the cooperation of showing management and access from FMLS to their neighboring areas. So with the ability to utilize technology standards and processes across the board, Jeremy and team had access to another 50% more listings in their surroundings and brought a few thousand agents now that can show within their region. And that happened, number one, because of their leadership, but because we have a standard technology that we can apply across the board. And so definitely it makes our life a lot easier when it's applied, and it makes us more successful and helps us make our customers more successful.
Yeah, when I hear data standards, like me, I'm a efficiency nerd. I love process efficiency, and I could tell you from firsthand with my previous company where, Toronto was very welcoming, but at some point we wanted to scale. And as we try to go to the second or third or fourth MLS, it was extremely saturated. The data was all over the place, and it took us literally 3 years to try to find some unification amongst it all. And first of all, with RESO, what they're doing is essential for this industry to not only survive, but thrive. We actually became RESO members, and we're working in the process of getting a RESO certification as well. So I think for this industry, organized real estate industry, to really thrive and ensure that it does not get disrupted by an external factor, there has to be standardization for the data. But I want to take it one layer further, because as a vendor, the standardization is the first and most important key. But after that is the data access, making sure that the trusted vendors are given the right data access. Because quite honestly, there's a lot of MLSs where when you want to provide technology to their members and you say, hey, we need the data, they will say, okay, well, here's listings just for that member, and you're like, what is this person going to do with this, right? So I just want to really just give a big shout out to John and Toronto Real Estate Board, because from all the associations we worked with, all the MLSs we worked with, they had by far the best data distribution policies, having the DT feed, the VAL feed, the sole access feed, but ensuring that it wasn't just accessible and put everywhere it could be. It was access through, obviously, security, gateways and stuff. So again, data standard is very important, but then ensuring you have the right policy that truly empowers the agents to be able to be competitive and to empower them as well.
I just wanted to add that, this is an international discussion, and without standards, there's no way that we'd be able to speak the same language in technology unless we did have those standards. So it doesn't matter how it's written, it's what you call a fireplace, right? So we used to have fireplaces fields that would say 1 or 2, or wood or gas. Now it's whatever the standard is, everybody speaks the same language, and that will really make it easy for people to move. Like, we get a lot of people moving to Toronto. I mean, immigration is something that we're seeing everywhere now, but we need to be able to understand, and as people get access to the listing data, they want to know that when it says fireplace, it's what the fireplace is represented, and everybody's speaking the same language in technology. There's a big difference. It doesn't matter what the home language is, technology has to speak one.
Well, I think that's a great little spot to wrap up here. I think another thing we heard a lot about today, being international, is going between borders. And I think whether that's in the US, between states, or to Canada, or to Romania, whatever it is, I think it's so important to really be building off of that. Like you said, the technology speaking one language so that you can best serve your agents, your members, or as the vendors, you can provide that value to both the MLS and the agents. So any closing thoughts?
Yes. One more thing.
Yes.
Yeah. So one thing that we've been really good with at the data is we actually have moved the dial on policies made by all levels of government. We will present data with our partners across the country, other associations, and we've a few years ago, did a joint press release to show that the government had made a mistake in this stress test thing. So now, to qualify as a first-time buyer, you have to qualify 2 percentage points above the going rate in my world, in Canada. So we tried to show them that they were wrong, that this stress test is not a one-size-fits-all. And what we did was we got all the major markets to give us their data and then created a press release, and everybody wrote what was happening in their market and showed that every market was different. Some markets were oversupplied. Some markets there was no activity. We were being stressed out. Vancouver was being stressed out, but the rest of the country was not, and it actually moved the dial. It forced the superintendent of OSFI to actually make a comment, and then the minister, federal minister, actually said, yeah, we might have to rethink this. But then COVID hit, and everything went crazy. But right now, just as recent as a couple months ago, we've been in discussions with our local or our provincial people to show them that they were wrong. Years ago, I made them take back, a couple years ago, I made them take back this policy on foreign buyers. And the foreign buyers that were coming in, they were saying 5% of all these people are foreign buyers and they're actually keeping the apartments or the houses empty. We showed them they were wrong. And yes, it's true, there were some foreign buyers, 2%, not the 6 that they were talking about, and 90% of them were our US neighbors. So they had to rethink their policy. We use it to move the dial on policy.
I would like to add that the industry and the technology partners are able and ready to help the industry move forward, whether it's to continue move forward in North America or implement the learning and the technology in the rest of the world, and even with the modifications that are needed for the local markets. We understand that what we do in the US does not always translate 100% to another market. There are some unique needs. But the technology's there, the industry partners already utilize them, and there is a history of that, right? I mean, in my opening comment, I made a quick comment about Supra having facilitated cooperation. I really meant that in passing, but it is true. While MLS were being created and formed 55 years ago, Supra at the same time was facilitating cooperation between agents, then eventually between brokers, and ultimately between associations, across associations and MLS. So that's one example of many technology partners who really share your mission. Yes, we still have to do the education in these markets. Yes, we still need your leadership at the MLS level, but the technology partners are ready to facilitate and help take you there.
And I guess my finishing remarks are that we've heard this again and again, that the change is already in motion. And without a doubt, the change right now is greater than probably the last 20 years combined. And I've heard this again and again. But I've also heard that, it's unpredictable. We don't know what the future is. And I just want to finish off by saying that it's a famous quote that if the future is unpredictable, then create it. And this is an extremely innovative, proactive conference. And we don't have to predict what the future is. We can all collectively create it. And I think that's what we should exactly aim to do. Thank you.
The future is unpredictable, but it will have more technology in it.
And we will create it.
And we'll create it. I think that's an excellent closing statement. Thank you all for that great discussion.
Okay, that was the last session for the day, and to echo what I said at lunch, I am shocked. We're 1 minute over. This has literally never happened at an international conference. So, testament to all the moderators, thank you. As a reminder, tomorrow our European colleagues will be in attendance with us. I think we accomplished what our mission and goal was for today, was to kind of open our minds a little bit, understand the opportunities that are out there, and tomorrow this will kind of help shape us and point us in the right direction of where the opportunity is. So before we get out here, 2 quick announcements. There is a champagne toast reception right out here to the right of the room. It's a couple things we're celebrating, but we'll toast out there. And for those of you that were interested in the Paris Paradigm, Ali and the Realtina team will be over in this conference room starting at 3:15. So they'll be able to answer any questions and go into more detail with anything. So with that being said, let's adjourn. Let's go have fun in Paris tonight. But we start at 9 a.m., so not too much fun. Thank you.